Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We will get started in just a moment. We'll give everyone just a couple minutes to get signed into the Zoom here. Looking forward to a really great presentation from some of our partners today. And hopefully you'll learn a lot about how to hire you. So we'll get started in just a moment. All right, looks like the trickle of attendees is starting to slow down a little bit, so let's jump in. Good morning, everybody. I am Nate Futrell. I am the Industry Partnerships Director with CareerRise. We're so glad that you were able to join us this morning on this beautiful spring March day. I'm glad to have you with us. Um, March is Women's History Month, and I know there are a lot of women in my life who have made such an impact on me, my career, my personal life. Having grown up in the fields of social services and healthcare, I have been very fortunate to work with some very inspirational and talented women that have made an impact on me. So today in the chat, would love for everyone to take just a moment and introduce yourself, say who you are, what organization or business you're with, and maybe a woman in your life or just someone you know who has inspired you and has made an impact on you. So take a minute to do that. And of course, really excited to see some familiar names like Alyssa from Kaiser Permanente, uh, some other familiar names I see like Gwen Knight Warner, Laura Gomez, lots of some familiar names as well as some new ones. So glad to have you all with us today. And like I said, take a minute, introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us who you are, what organization you're with, and tell us about a woman in your life who has made an impact on you or has inspired you. In case you are new to CareerRise or to our webinar, I just want to take just a moment to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. Uh, CareerRise is a nonprofit organization based in the Atlanta metro area. We've been operating for about 11, 12 years now, started within the United Way of Greater Atlanta, and as of 2 years ago, became our own freestanding nonprofit organization. Our mission is to advance economic mobility and regional prosperity by creating and strengthening partnerships that meet employer needs for skilled talent and connect Metro Atlanta residents to sustainable wage careers. That's a mouthful, but essentially what we're here to do is connect good people to good jobs. And our vision is that Metro Atlanta will be a strong, thriving, and equitable community with skilled employees connected to good jobs. As you can see in that graphic there, we just like to be the connective tissue that brings all of us that are in the workforce development space together so that we can collaborate for better outcomes for our communities. I'll tell you a little bit about the industry partnerships team. So CareerRise, as I like to say, is divided into three programmatic areas. One is Westside Works, which is our community-based, place-based approach to workforce development. We have Equity at Work that does a lot of research and projects around promoting equity and economic mobility in our region. And then we have industry partnerships. Um, Really, our goal is to make workforce development easier for employers and those who support them. How we do that is by educating about and helping, especially businesses, navigate through the workforce development ecosystem. It's not uncommon that businesses don't know the best kept secret in talent strategy is this whole realm of workforce development that they have around them. And it can be really challenging to navigate it if you don't know what we mean when we say WIOA. It just sounds like just some vowels that come out. But we help connect employers and those who work with them with those resources and tools to make workforce development easier. We create alignment and drive toward common goals. And we build capacity and provide support through low-risk programming. So we want to make it easier for employers to tackle some of those workforce challenges that they're having by providing some grant funding, some technical assistance, some project management, and connection to resources. And then our webinar series really talks to that first bullet about educating and helping individuals navigate through this system. In our webinar series, we aim to provide innovative and practical ideas, tools, and resources that really empower employers to tackle 5 areas that we really see as common across all industries, all business sizes. Talking about hiring, candidate sourcing and workforce planning, training and apprenticeships, employment success supports, making sure that workers don't have barriers to employment, quality careers and workplaces, making sure that when workers do land that job, that it's a good job, one that they would choose to stay. And then career awareness and promotion, making sure that the future generations of the workers know about all of these high demand careers and how to get into them and how to be prepared. So that's a little bit about us. And I hope that this will be a enlightening webinar for you today. Now it is my pleasure to welcome Patrick Smith. He is the Regional Community Relations Manager at UPS and a CareerRise board member. He'll be providing our welcome message this morning. So Patrick, take it away.
Thanks so much, Nate. Can you hear me all right? Give me a thumbs up there. I hope so.
We can hear you.
The test run. So thank you so much. And what a pleasure it is to be here today with you all for this conversation. As Nate mentioned, my name is Patrick Smith, and I have the pleasure of being the Regional Community Relations Manager for UPS and specifically the UPS Foundation. Conversations like today really brings to light additional conversations that we can have amongst the leaders on the call today, the decision makers on the call today. I thoroughly enjoy the work of corporate philanthropy and philanthropy as a whole. And one of the things I've been able to understand is that in order for this ecosystem to work, as Nate mentioned, is if the decision makers in the room, right, or rooms like today and rooms we will be in tomorrow, makes decisions that are going to impact the future leaders of tomorrow, and those being our youth. This world is forever changing. The youth today, those who are graduating from high school, those who are moving on, they decide to go to college and graduating. I'm not that far in age from them, and I'll continue to say that as long as it remains true. And what I've noticed is that the communication, sometimes there is a barrier between what the corporations and what the work industry wants to do, and versus what the youth are telling us what they want to do. I had the pleasure of being on a board, being on a career panel last week, just last Friday, with some promising young students, and they continue to blow my mind away. About the things they were interested in, and it was a very good conversation. And I think what I took away most from that is that we have to continue to listen to them. We have to continue to be at their aid so that we can then help guide them, right, into the areas that we know are going to work to keep this ecosystem operating. I enjoy CareerRise, one of my favorite organizations. I think I can say that. I know it's from a biased perspective and being a board member, but they've been able to answer the question. And that question is, yes, we can provide workforce resources, we can provide the tools, but how can I get the employers, right, connected with the nonprofit organizations, connected with this great talent that we are cultivating? That is the loop that needs to be answered, right? We can provide all of the great resources, all of the great talent that we can, but if we don't have the employers in the room that are going to hire these people and hire the youth at quality wages, then we're just swinging and missing every single time. So I'm very again appreciative for CareerRise and all the work that they do. Thank you all for joining. I know it's going to be an intense conversation, and it certainly shall be. We have to continue to have these conversations to make this ecosystem work so that it doesn't continue to create an unbalance in our society with all of the things that we're facing. So, Nate, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And likewise, we are very thankful and appreciative of the partnership of UPS and for you participating on our board and just walking the walk with us and talking the talk. So thank you very much. Today on our webinar, as Patrick alluded to, we'll be talking about hiring youth. What are some of the best practices around that? What are some things you might need to know as a business? And we'll also be hearing from Accenture about some tips for employers to hire youth. We'll have some updates for you from the industry partnerships team. and then we'll wrap up and get you out of here by 12 o'clock. So next, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Anthony Hill, Compliance Specialist with the Atlanta Department of Labor and Employment Services, who has a presentation for us today. So Anthony, please take it away.
Well, I just want to say good morning to everybody who's decided to join us today. This is my first time with the panel here at CareerRise. I love this particular type of work. I work for the city of Atlanta, our Department of Labor and Employee Services. So a lot of these programs that we typically discuss on panels like this, we kind of work hand in hand. And so with my years of experience in working in HR, I love everything it is about hiring and best practices to prevent people from getting in trouble in a workspace for sure. So just to kind of lighten things up, I mean, we all would be remiss if we didn't work when we were younger as well. So if somebody could put in the chat, their first jobs that you start off. I know my first job was free. I worked for my parents and I did everything they asked me to do. And if I didn't, I was penalized by not being able to do what I wanted to do. So it was absolutely free. But in this case, what we're dealing with in our society, especially with the younger audience, we want to make sure that one, both employers and employees are understanding their legal aspect when they're going to the job. And so for sure, when you're hiring ages from 14 to 15, you want to make sure that they're not in hazardous situations. Work time and work schedules, of course, afflict those individuals differently than they do for 16 and 17-year-olds. Of course, you want to make sure that their school and their school schedules, or of course, are accommodating. And you need to remember that, and for younger audience that work, they cannot work before 7 a.m. and they cannot work after 7 p.m. And that's during school. So they can only work a max of 18 hours while they're in school. You want to make sure you tackle, and that's why most times people return from school, you're able to actually have them work a lot more hours, because again, those time frames and restrictions are lifted. They can work till after 9 o'clock during that time as well. And I see people putting in a chat, your local pizza place. Let's see what else we got. Okay. So everybody else had a real job. I was working for my parents. So I understand, right? So again, let's just go back to some of the rules and regulations that we have in terms of law. You can't have youthful individuals working in hazardous situations on the job. And of course, you want to make sure that they're able to properly take breaks. Of course, Georgia doesn't enforce you guys to have breaks or have break laws. And that's where you have to kind of revert back to federal. But just as an employee and as an employer, you want to make sure that you're starting to keep that good environment with the men and not overwork them. Those are things that'll aid themselves to you actually being penalized and burnout. And that's going to lend itself to having a bad working environment. So I'm going to always highlight making sure that you properly allow them to have breaks and meals, along with having a good schedule for them to actually work. And let's get to the pay. Of course, Georgia minimum wage is $5.15. And in most cases, you have to revert back federally, which is $7.25. That does give you an opportunity legally to actually bring individuals in under the age of 18 and give them a training wage. And unfortunately, the training wage can be like $4.25. You only can do that up to 90 days. After 90 days, you have to revert back to which is the federal minimum wage. And that's going to protect you in the event that you do have a lot of these individuals on the job and you're just not certain, and they're not certain. So you have to kind of be aware of that you want to give an X amount of time, which is 90 days. I find to be good. They even use that for adults to make sure that there's a good fit for the job. And of course, when you have individuals work over 40 hours a week, just like adults, they are entitled to time and a half for working any hour after 40 hours. Just because they're children, they still need to be on a pay schedule. They still need to have direct deposits and all those things set up to prevent them from having opportunities where individuals take advantage of them. Let's just be honest. Unfortunately, there are situations where children are taken advantage of in the workplace based on language barriers, based on cultural barriers, education, and family situations. Unfortunately, there are places where people work and children are taken advantage of. So to prevent any hardship or any issues in terms of you as an employer, as well as you as an employee, you want to be aware of your rights and making sure that you are fully engaged and have a handbook and have good policies in place to make sure that people understand their rights. And so that's the more serious part that you want to make sure that you're kind of aware of when you're hiring younger individuals. But what are the benefits for having young individuals on the job, right? And let's go ahead and look at one of our concerns here. So just let me know, what are your biggest concerns when you are hiring younger individuals in a poll? So please, if you could just read our poll question here and just kind of answer that. Let me know some of those concerns you have before you even decide to hire young individuals. I know one of the questions I received mostly is when I was talking to employers is, how are we going to insure them? Well, you need to understand that you're not their parents. You cannot insure someone who's not your child. And these are children we're talking about. And so you're not responsible for insuring children that come into the workplace. If you're concerned about having children in the workplace and let's say things get a little out of hand and they may get hurt, that's where your overall company will be a part of what we call workers' compensation and things like that. But in terms of providing insurance, only their parents can provide insurance for individuals under 18. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of parents wouldn't mind other individuals want to pick up that insurance cost. So don't be fearful of hiring younger individuals based on insurance. So we'll get back to the poll, see what some of the questions you guys put in here for the poll. But in my own opinion, it's great to hire young individuals. One, they're going to bring a level of energy. They're going to bring a level of enthusiasm. In most cases, they haven't been inundated with our societal and norms. Let's see, and some of our societal norms. I'm sorry. Let's look and see what we got in terms of the actual poll. Yep, the insurance and legal aspects. See, I read your minds, and reliability, of course. And we're going to address the reliability aspect. Reliability is, again, on some of the things we'll discuss that can also be something you can help out in making sure and assuring them that they have those opportunities to be reliable. So again, moving forward, seasonal opportunities. Of course, that is the best time, again, summer, weekends, and holidays when you have those business rush. You can have a lot more individuals on the clock to actually aid and support your more seasoned veterans that you have on the job. And of course, younger individuals are a lot easier to train. And again, with the individuals now, social media plays a major role. So you want to make sure that you have good policies for that cell phone, because again, you know, and I know young individuals are going to put everything that they experience on blast through all social media platforms. So again, it's an awesome thing to actually have those individuals who are very good with technology. They bring a level of savviness and digital skills that sometimes most, unfortunately, older employees are not equipped with doing. And so most cases, younger individuals are able to teach our older and more seasoned employees on how to understand the growing expansion of being in our digital world. Also, they come with a strong work ethic. This is an opportunity to promote growth and to develop them. And you never know, you may have a good pipeline of actually having younger people who work for your organizations that wind up becoming some of your most longest tenure employees that benefit you the most. And then on top of that, one of the other advantages I personally believe is, again, this is in a community engagement. Having young individuals on your job, uh, celebrated in your community. These are the same kids that get on the school bus, same kids that most individuals see growing up. Hey, you got Tommy out there working. That's why Tommy can't cut my grass on the weekend, because he at your job. You know, those are opportunities where it can promote them in a positive way to show people that they can do things a little bit differently, and also to showcase them in a positive way in their communities and be more influential. So let's not disregard the actual advantages of hiring, uh, minors in the workspace. Most importantly, once you get those minors in the workspace, let's talk about the safety. Let's talk about one of the major concerns that most people have, and not just you as an employer, but parents have about their individuals once you have them incorporated into your workspace. you want to make sure that you've done everything to assure that they are safe, make sure that they are taken care of, make sure that they are protected in the workspace. And of course, I'm going to always highlight making sure you have them times to take proper breaks and meals to assess, to reprocess, and gather themselves. But again, creating a safe workspace is one of the biggest concerns that anybody has of bringing young individuals in the workspace. Of course, I talked about not allowing them to, be in hazardous situations. So in my experience, you're going to have issues where you run in with ocean. So what you should do is have a younger person as a buffer. And sometimes it's James who has the good car. He's 22, he's in school. He's a buffer between you and leadership as well as those younger kids. He's going to be more influential. So what I would do is allow James to pick up a OSHA 30. OSHA 30 is a supervisory level of understanding the rules and regulations on a job. Plus he has swag. He's a little bit more versed in the lingo and understanding that age group that you are while you focus on the business. You want to have a person like that in leadership that allows it to streamline, allow them to have some word and actually what's going on the workplace, but you're showing a proper tier of promotion by having somebody like James there who's again, a younger person, a little bit more influential with the younger audience. You want to have a person like that as a lead to actually show that progression. And if they have issues and concern, I know most time employers at the top, you could be a little intimidating to the younger audience. So you want to have somebody who's have a little bit more spunk, a little bit more relatable to kids in the workspace to create that workspace, but also to show them the ins and outs on the job. You've already invested in James. You've already taught James the ropes and everything like that, or it could be Sarah, whoever it is. You want to have a person that could be a buffer between you and leadership that can also come back and disseminate the information to you so to help you better understand your workforce. But you want somebody to be able to relate to kids and to create that environment in the event that they need to be able to discuss or have any issues that they want to talk about. There's somebody there to provide that supervision. Most cases we see there's no supervision on the job from the top or to the bottom to be able to bridge that gap, because there are going to be communications gap between the younger audience as well as our older, more seasoned individuals on the job. And it doesn't matter whether it's youthful or some of our more senior veterans on the job. That's just the way it is. You're going to have different cultures. You're going to have different people coming from all over working in the workspace that just bring a different level of how they like to work, how they're educated about going by work. It's just a completely different philosophy. So you're gonna have a melting pot of individuals there with a completely different understanding about how to do things. And sometimes that causes issues. So I will personally always have somebody there in a form of leadership to be that buffer between you and your younger audience on the job. And then moving forward into of course, our best practices, right? So you want to be able to accommodate younger individual schedule. You need to understand your laws, your labor laws, because those are the things that unfortunately will get you in trouble first of not understanding your labor laws, making sure that you properly age assign these individuals coming into the workforce to proper roles. You want to create some level of hierarchy. You don't want everybody doing the same thing. You want to give people a chance to kind of grow and to progress. You want to have a supervisor who's effective to properly train them. You want to have policies around training them and making sure that they're safe. And again, to promote that level of responsibilities is your opportunity to create a reliable individual from working. I know I told you guys at the beginning of this piece that I work for my parents. And again, most importantly, they didn't pay me to work, but they made sure that I was responsible and made sure that I was reliable before I got to the workspace. So again, you're going to have to make sure that you have a great relationship with these young individual parents. You want to talk to their parents, assure their parents that you do have a great place for their children to come and work, and that you have programs to encourage them to be, to develop, and you want to have programs around them to reward them for doing a good job. If you want reliable individuals, especially the youth, you want to have them in a great workspace that is non-toxic and it is non-threatening. And so you're going to have to come up with reward programs. Again, going back to that hierarchy, you're going to want to be able to do that to show those steps and those age appropriate roles, but you want to be able to promote them from doing a good job. So you may, at the end of the 30 days, you want to have parties You want to have events where they collectively able to go with each other and kind of do some team building. These are things that they're going to experience in real life circumstance and situation as adults that you want to be able to impart on them while they're young and in your workspace. This is a great opportunity for you to create lasting memories with these individuals by having great communication, creating a safe work environment, of course, promoting that positive work culture. I know in most spaces, when you have younger individuals come in, they tend to rub off on the older audience. The older audience have been working. They've experienced life in a different way. And sometimes you forget what it's like to be young. And so having younger individuals come into your workspace is just going to re-energize your whole workforce. So I want to continue to encourage you. You want to have younger individuals in the job. It makes the older individuals too get a little bit more on the job, and it creates that responsibility for them to kind of bridge that gap in communication of understanding the youth as well. So again, positive work culture. You want to have great policies around training, especially that cell phone. You want to make sure you have a good cell phone policy, because and I know they're going to be on their cell phones. There's no way around it. They are going to be on their cell phones. I already know that. You want to have effective leadership. You want to have somebody to be a buffer between you and the actual leadership to actually be able to effectively communicate with these younger individuals. You want to make sure that you're abiding by all Georgia as well as federal laws and regulations of these individuals in the work source or in the work site to prevent you from incurring fines and potential elements of danger too that can cost you and your business and jeopardize more so everyone who's involved with the business if you're not following those rules. And you want to be flexible in your work schedule. Remember, these are children. They do go to school. They do play on the basketball. They play sports. They have other extracurricular activities that them and their parents have invested in. So you want to make sure you have accommodating schedules to support them in their other endeavors that they actually do as well. So it's not just work. It's not just a serious situation. You want to be able to have some level of flexibility. All these things incorporated creates a more positive work environment for these individuals. So again, those are some of my best practice in terms of mentorship. And of course, you as a business, when you hire younger individuals, there are also incentives for you. Sometimes you'll get funds and you'll get tax breaks for having younger individuals working in the job. And so you need to look at your local news. You need to look at your local business quarters and special better business bureaus and find out, are there those tax incentives and what they essentially are for your business for hiring younger individuals. So there's always some good benefits to you as an employer for having younger individuals on the work site as well. But again, just going back, if you create a very, very well work balance environment and communicate properly with their parents, you're going to have a great work environment for everybody involved. And that's just a positive word of mouth situation that they'll go back and share with other children as well to actually bring and highlight you and to create a better retention and a more robust workforce for your organization. So there's no harm in hiring younger individuals that can turn out to be one of the best things you do in terms of investment and training, as they will reward you and bring their educational experience and bring back their life skills back into the organization and then back into their communities. And this is how you create a reliable, trustworthy, proper adults. This is the start of it. So again, I want to contribute and thank my parents for being as hard as they was on me, and they didn't pay me, and I wound up still doing a good job. So I did an even better job once I was in the workforce and I was actually able to get paid. So thanks to my mom and dad for that. But again, I just want to highlight that again, I'm from the Atlanta Department of Employee Service, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my team. Um, my team information is here. If you ever need us to speak or to advocate for you or to pretty much help you make sure that you stay in alignment with all these things we discussed today, remember, I'm a compliance specialist. I work with a labor liaison officer as well as a special projects coordinator. These are my family. And so we always are in the community. We are always open to support you in any way, shape, or form. So if you have any question in regards to that during the Q&A, please document our contact information, and you'll still have the help outside of this webinar.
Excellent. Anthony, thank you so much. Appreciate the information there. You
you.
really touched on a lot of questions that come up for employers about hiring individuals under the age of 18. So appreciate you sharing that information. And if we do have any questions that come up, we'll make sure to raise those up during the Q&A session here in just in a few minutes.
Okay.
But now I'd like to turn it over to our next presenter, Ms. Mikayla Cassidy, a management consultant with Accenture's talent and organization practice. So Mikayla, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Nate. And Anthony had the perfect setup. We did not exchange talk tracks, but he perfectly set up our presentation for today. So very happy to be here. I'm joined by my colleague, Charles Patton, who will help me in filtering and answering any questions that you all have. But I was one of the ones who had a job when I was in high school. I played sports. I was super involved in extracurricular activities, but it was important for me to be able to earn money as well. So my junior and senior year in high school, I worked at our local Little Caesars pizza shop and was able to earn funds just to help with my social experience while I was in high school. But one thing that I've noticed about today's youth, just in being in the high schools through mentorship, they are really committed to getting early career exposure. They're trying to get a jump start. And so one thing I wish I had had the opportunity to do when I was in high school was start learning kind of what industries I was interested in, whether that was through job shadowing or even just working a part-time job in a field that I wanted to pursue after college. So today we're going to talk about the art of the possible and how you as employers can help create those impactful work experiences for today's youth. So today we'll spend time talking about 4 key categories of work experiences for youth. If you're on this call today and you say, I might not be ready to host an internship for students just yet, but I still want to play a pivotal role in providing them with career exposure, there's options available to you. So we have career exploration field trips, there's job shadowing, there are those summer and academic year internships, and then of course, part-time jobs. And when we talk about career exploration field trips, if we just go one step back, those are one-day experiences where a high school class can come on site to your business, to your organization, and just get a day in the life and experience what services you provide, what products you create, what populations you serve, and start getting an introduction to your field. Job shadowing is another one of those possibly unpaid opportunities, but it's one-on-one experiences where a student gets to come on site with a mentor and follow them around for the day and get to see what they do. Summer and academic year internships, self-explanatory, but one thing I want to call out is that academic year internships, often we see them used in the phrase of work studies. And so it's an opportunity for students throughout the school year to be immersed in a field or on a job that is specifically related to their field of study or the career path that they're looking to pursue. And then part-time jobs, those youth who are focused on earning wages, compensation, and ideally it'll be in their career field that they want to go into long-term, but there's always just opportunities to gain employment. Great. And so today we want to focus on a high level 3 key steps to start creating these experiences for you. If this sounds like something that you want to do, you joined this call today, but you want to know how to get started. So today we'll keep it at a high level, and in the future, we'd love to get more granular and specific to your specific place of business. Our first step is to define the vision. If you gather a small group of managers and set priorities, why do we want to invest in the next generation of talent? Are we focused on our talent pipeline? Do we want to diversify our workforce? Are we looking to bring more innovative and fresh ideas? Or do we just want to have a direct impact on our community? So start defining those priorities. Next, you identify opportunities. No matter what business, no matter what employer you are working for, everyone has projects that have taken a seat on the back burner or have been pushed down on a list of priorities. It doesn't matter your industry. These are a great opportunity to start introducing internships. Think about projects like organizing. It might be physical organizing a space or digital organization where you have an intern come in to help clean up some of your spreadsheets, some of your data, of course, with the right compliance in place. You might want to consider an event that you've been looking to host, but you haven't had someone available to sit down and plan out all the logistics of the event. And so that would be another great opportunity for an intern. So even while you're sitting on this call today, start thinking through, what are some projects or tasks at my job that have been on the back burner that we could possibly introduce and bring on a young person to help support that area? And then finally, determine and execute the model. No matter what type of work experience that you decide upon, you're always going to have key considerations that you solve for, that you solution for, and that you need to start thinking through. Like, where will you source and recruit from? What will be the compensation rate? How long do we want to host these students? And do we have the necessary internal supports in place to help facilitate those experiences? So when we dive deeper into defining the vision, we'll see that hiring youth is important to overall strategic workforce planning, even as Anthony started to allude to in his presentation. If we look at 3 stair steps, introduction to the workforce, this is a great opportunity to start having those career exploration field trips and job shadowing opportunities. If you look at high schoolers as early as 10th grade, they may not be looking to work a job just yet, but they want to start getting an understanding of what they want to do in the future. This is a great opportunity to introduce them to the workforce. When we look at post-secondary opportunities, which are opportunities available post-high school, we know that everyone's path is different. There's no perfect journey. There's no perfect pathway. Everyone has different strengths, different interests, different passions, and even different financial backgrounds. So everyone is no longer going the way of a 4-year university, and we want to always present students with opportunities that are best suited for them. So that could be internships, that could be work studies, part-time jobs, and I want to focus in on apprenticeships, which are on the rise. These are learn and earn work models where it helps close the skills gap. So if an employer sees that there's jobs that they need filled, but they haven't been able to hire people that have the right skill sets, you bring on an apprentice, you do a formal training program where they learn those technical skills needed that are missing within the workforce. The lengths of time of apprenticeships vary, but the key here is that there should be an opportunity to convert to a full-time role at the conclusion of the apprenticeship. And then finally, full-time employment. People get to this step at different phases in the journey, some right after high school, some after college, some after vocational school. But regardless of your education level, full-time employment is always contingent upon the role that is equivalent to the level of education that you have earned or obtained. And we want to look at the numbers. When we talk about talent pipeline and employee retention, there are statistics that prove that hiring youth expand talent pipelines, enhance engagement, and improve long-term retention, which is always the goal. So some key highlights on this slide is I encourage you to engage early. 70% of employers who bring on interns end up extending full-time offers to those interns. So they capture them early, develop the skills needed, and eventually they see that those interns are a good fit for them in the long term. Additionally, 80% of those interns end up accepting the full-time offers, which highlights the importance of providing clear growth paths. And when we look at the intern to full-time pathway, 72% of intern full-time hires stay for at least 1 year, and 44% go on to stay for 5 years. And this has proven true because a lot of the analysts that I began at Accenture with interned here when they were juniors and seniors in college and have stayed on at Accenture, which is going on 5 years for us now. And industry leaders speak and testify to this. When we look at the communications industry, we all love ChatGPT. When we look at the tech industry and even other workforce leaders, they all say that starting young, exposing youth early is advantageous not just to the youth, but also to these businesses, to these organizations. When they take a chance on young people, invest in them early, expose them early, there always ends up being high impact to the organization in the long term. So one thing I love about working at Accenture is that we have dedicated programs to youth, for youth. So one of our programs is our High School Learning to Lead program, where it's solely curriculum based, but we bring on 16 to 18-year-olds to go through an immersive summer of training where they have a workforce and professionalism curriculum. And our Skills to Succeed, internship program is an early ID program that provides work experiences to high school and post-high school students. So again, even at Accenture, we are dedicated to our next generation of talent. And when we look at the success of our high school program, 98% of our summer 2024 participants express interest in pursuing more opportunities at Accenture. So whether if that's in the form of an internship, an apprenticeship, or a full-time job, 98% of those participants want to come back to Accenture because they got that early career exposure. And 90% of our participants experience noticeable growth in marketing, presenting, and networking skills. Our Skills to Succeed internship, again, proving that the internship doesn't just benefit the student, but the management as well and the organization as a whole. 97% of our supervisors would supervise another S2S intern. 130 of our 188 S2S interns are eligible for the next level up in our internship pathway. And 20 plus interns received an apprenticeship offer, which means they'll join our learn and earn model and eventually be offered a full-time role. Right. So when we dive into identifying opportunities, this all sounds great, but you want to know what kind of opportunities should I begin developing, what is age appropriate, and where should I source from? Schools will be your best friend. Work with local high schools to determine, and especially CTE classes, to market the opportunities that you have available. Schools are also a great way to help students apply for those opportunities that are available if you have teachers who are working with you and are dedicated to connecting youth to employment opportunities. Nonprofit partners as well. By joining this call today, you see that there are nonprofits dedicated to connecting youth to these opportunities, so leverage those local partnerships. So we created a couple personas just to show you different work experiences that would be available within some of the major industries. These are made up people, made up companies, but we wanted to start to give you a feel of what framing these work experiences would look like, what age groups you should focus on, and some of the key takeaways from each experience. So Jay is 18. He just recently graduated high school, so he's pursuing an internship because of his pursuit of the healthcare pathway. He was a patient transporter. So if there's anyone who's in the healthcare industry, you know the importance of having dedicated people who can focus on the logistics to free up nurses to be able to focus on patient treatment plans. So if it's helping to get a patient out of their hospital bed and into a wheelchair, take them to their x-rays, take them to their testing, or help transport medical supplies throughout the hospital or medical facility, this is a great internship opportunity. And Jay said that he truly appreciated the hands-on experience. Right. Christina was like me when she was in high school. She really wanted to start earning money. Senior year can get expensive with graduation, with prom. So she wanted to offset some of those expenses by getting a job. But Christina got a head start by pursuing a part-time job in an area that she wanted to be in long term. So she went into TDL and got a job at Summit Logistics, where she got to see and affirm her interest in the supply chain and seeing how products move through supply chain. So she worked a part-time job while she was in 12th grade, and she was able to learn how to manage tasks and quickly solve problems. Career exploration field trip, Maria, 11th grader at Cedar Brook Academy. She dived into Blue Tech Consulting. Her class went on a one-day career exploration field trip to the consulting firm. And one area of consulting that she got to learn about was design thinking. And one key call out here is Maria said her experience would have been better if she got to ask more questions about how people got started in their careers. So if career explorations are something that you're considering, make sure that you carve out dedicated time to give students an opportunity to have face time with leadership or people at different management levels to see how they can get on that pathway and be successful. And finally, when we look at job shadowing this type of work experience. Brandon knew he was interested in skilled trades. His dad was a plumber, but he didn't necessarily want to take that path. So he was trying to understand which area of skilled trades was going to be best suited for him. So he decided to shadow an HVAC repairman or HVAC technician. And one thing that Brandon really appreciated was that his mentor was always willing to answer his questions and give great advice. Although he wasn't certified as a technician just yet, being on site and getting to experience what a day in the life looked like really helped him to solidify his decision. So a couple keys to success that we want to leave you with is always foster a welcome and inclusive environment. If this is somewhere that a student wants to consider being long-term, you want to make sure that it's an environment that they want to be a part of on a daily basis. Provide clear expectations and structure. There will always be a level of ambiguity that students have to manage, but if you can provide as much structure as possible on the front end, it helps students know what is expected of them day in and day out. If possible, assign a dedicated mentor or buddy. Connect them to people who can be professional examples to them and be a part of their overall support system. As the statistic proved, a lot more interns or students who are a part of these experiences will look for long-term roles if they know that they'll have the opportunity to do and manage hands-on meaningful tasks. Encourage open communication and questions, foster an environment of allowing students to be inquisitive, and always offer opportunities for skill development. If you know that there's a skill that's going to make a student more marketable, create opportunities to allow them to grow in that area. And finally, once you determine which model you're going to do, you have to execute the model. So we just developed some key questions to kind of start getting your brains churning. If the field trips are something that your business is interested in, consider what are the best days of the week to bring students on site. Maybe there's days where there's less meetings for management and they can be a part of lunch and learns and help facilitate the experience. So consider things like that. Job shadowing. Because of this age group, do you need to get consent forms from parents? How do you present jobs in a way that is digestible for students? Summer and academic internships. In a post-COVID world, do we want to do a fully in-person model or a hybrid model? Will we provide technology? And part-time jobs, of course, we learned from today's presentation that there's a max amount of hours that students can work while they're still in high school, and we have to honor the pay rate and wage regulations. So if you are interested in receiving support to develop these type of experiences for your students, we have a partnership with CareerRise that we're really excited about, where we're looking to host an in-person workshop the third Friday in May 16th. And we would love to help curate a personalized and customized experience specifically for you. If this is something that you just need a little bit more support with, assistance with, or just picking people's brains to learn how to make these experiences available to youth in your community, we would love to work with you at this workshop. So if so, please scan the QR code and you would be able to submit your interest. And thank you all so much for your time. I'm going to hand it back over to Nate for questions.
Thank you, Mikayla. And for anyone who is interested in that workshop and you didn't get a chance to scan the QR code, Cherie has dropped the link for you in the chat, so you can click there to access that interest form. Mikayla, we did have a couple of questions come up during your presentation. So wanted to ask, number one, from Donna Robinson, how do interested students apply for internships?
Yeah, absolutely. It truly depends on the internship available. So like we said, connecting with nonprofit partners, sometimes they hold portals or have access to open and available jobs. So connecting students to those nonprofits so that they become a key sourcing partner for that employer that's looking to hire, they can provide support for applying. If you work with those school coordinators, a part of their job could be to sit down and help students apply to open opportunities. And then just knowing with job boards, with LinkedIn, what's available and being able to direct students to those links.
And she may have been asking specifically about Accenture internships.
Oh, yes. Okay, absolutely. I can share a couple resources in the chat as we're looking to recruit students for our future internships. our high school program, we work directly with nonprofit partners so that we're identifying the right types of candidates. But for our internship programs, I can drop some links in the chat to see about applying.
Thank you. See, we had a comment from Patrick Redford saying connecting with your school district's work-based learning coordinators is crucial. I will second that. Incredibly important. And then Gwen Allen asked, I work with schools in the Metro Atlanta area to offer those career exploration tours to post-secondary schools and to local businesses and industry in their communities. I'm always looking for new companies to partner with to provide these opportunities for young people. Would Accenture be open to me contacting you to offer a tour for students? Your company seems to focus on and support young people with an opportunity to see their potential.
Yes, absolutely. Again, I'll share my email in the chat, and I would love to connect you to the right teams at Accenture to see how we can make that possible.
Thank you. And then Charles dropped a link in the chat for a link to Accenture's internship database. Last call for questions from the audience. Elena Third asked, what are the best ways to engage new employers for participation? Elena, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Are you asking about, or maybe you can elaborate on your question a little bit by coming off of mute? And we can, going to, well, I thought I was going to. Cherie, can you do that for me, please? Alana, you should be able to unmute and ask your question out loud.
Hi, sorry about that. It was a little noisy where I am. Yes, I was trying to figure out what are the best ways to communicate this if we wanted to partner on a program like this, to communicate the value proposition for employers, how they would really benefit outside of philanthropy.
Mikayla, Anthony, Charles, don't know if you have any thoughts on her question.
Yeah, I would speak even to those stats that we showed. Nate, is this presentation going out after the call?
Yes, so
Okay.
just make sure that if you want to see this presentation again, that you sign up for our email digest, and Cherie has dropped the link for that in the chat.
Okay, yes, but to the question, Alana, I would absolutely emphasize the importance of talent pipeline, strategic workforce planning. If you can get a student as early as high school, really start working with them, developing the skill sets that they need to be successful at your company, you can follow them all the way through their career pathway matriculation, and they can end up being advantageous to your company in the long term because you started with them early. So consider pipeline, consider strategic workforce planning, considering the workforce is getting younger and you need fresh and innovative ideas. So youth is a great way to tap into that.
Muted myself. If you have any other questions, I know Mikayla mentioned she would be dropping her contact information in the chat. You can also send those to us at the industry partnerships team if you aren't able to get in contact with the person you wanted to ask, and we can help facilitate answering that question for you. Make sure you stay involved with us. Follow CareerRise on LinkedIn. Sign up for our digest. That link will be in the chat for you. And make sure you sign up to attend our webinar so you get all of these great updates and insights into what's going on in the workforce development space of Metro Atlanta. Our next webinar will be focused on apprenticeship. So if you want to learn more about that topic, make sure you're joining us next month. Then you can see some of the upcoming topics for the first half of the year. Make sure you complete our post-webinar survey. Save your chat by clicking that 3 dots menu above your chat window. and click Save Chat to download all of the links and questions and information that was shared today. And we will wrap it up there. We'll see you next month. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, you need to get in touch with us. Email us at team@careerriseatlanta.org. Follow us on LinkedIn. Give us a call. And thank you again. We'll leave this slide up for just a moment and have a great day and a great rest of your week.